Okay, we're live. I want to welcome you tonight. I hope those of you that watched yesterday have shared the new findings of the Mattis file. Now, I understand that it was a 3-hour long stream, so there is on Just My Stupid Opinions channel, there's just the 47-minute one-on-one interview between him and John Mattis. But we're going to take a break from that today. We'll possibly discuss that tomorrow on his stream. That's Just My Stupid Opinion, 4 words on YouTube. Today we're going to talk a little more about the world of sports and its intersection with the world of race. And I think, unfortunately, when we learn in elementary school, we learn a lot about Jackie Robinson and how he broke the color barrier. Or we learn about, there's Roberto Clemente, Hank Aaron, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. These were titans of an era when, people had to actually, their actual playing of the sport as an athlete, a black athlete, was a statement. There's Glory Road, if you've seen that movie, which I'm a college basketball fan, and I read the book Glory Road, which was about the first all-black team to win an NCAA title. You read about Muhammad Ali. Speaking of, Jack Johnson got the pardon today posthumously. He died several decades ago without his name cleared for that. I believe it was a rape charge. I think that with time, the whole race in sports element has gotten worse for the, for fans who hoped that all those barriers getting broken would lead to a less racialized society in sports. No, that hasn't happened. There was the whole NFL Anthem ruling, which we're going to deal with today, which many people are taking to be an infringement on the freedom of speech for the athletes. And I will say that personally, although I don't think that the policy is legally an infringement on their civil rights, I would say at this point, the NFL, they might as well, after all the damage is done, they could just make a policy. Players can do whatever the fuck they want during the anthem, because the damage is done. You can't put the whole thing back in the box. I'll tell you one thing. At this point, I see like all these MAGA people celebrating about, oh, Trump won or whatever. There's no winning here. Fans are divided in a certain way. A lot of fans are divided over a racial issue. So as far as I'm concerned, I mean, it doesn't make a difference. I mean, they could stand, they could kneel, people could pull their pants down and helicopter around with their wieners, or they could wear like a t-shirt under, take off their jerseys, and underneath they'll have like a tuxedo t-shirt or something. I really don't care anymore. The politicization of the NFL, we've taken it somewhere, all of us, where you can't recover it. So I really don't think that it's solved the problem. It doesn't have to do with Kaepernick, by the way. I have Arjun and Just My Stupid Opinion. What? I thought at least one of you guys would be asleep. But yeah, Arjun says he has like insomnia or something. Len McCarthy is here. Len McCarthy, one of our esteemed colleagues. I was chatting with him a little earlier about a project I want to do, but I would say that unfortunately you cannot. The damage is done. The people who were for the kneeling are going to be against the rule, and the people who were against the kneeling are going to be. A lot of them are kind of dicks. I mean, what are you going to say? You're going to say that there is no racism in the fan base. There's the fan base of the NFL reflects the society as it is, and that would include racist people in the audience. So if you're a part of the NFL, and you're playing to that audience, that includes the racist people. And I'm not just talking about white racists. I'm talking about all racists. It's a painful crisis that the NFL has gotten itself into, and it's not over. And they took a very convenient policy, and I'm sorry, but it's not really going to heal any divisions. Now let's talk about the actual implications of it. We're going to get into a number of different topics. Let me see, first of all, my topic list so that I don't forget something. Crisis that the NFL has gotten. Second, I had to mute myself. I think you guys just heard me 2 times. So, by the way, can people see my monitor? Yeah, you guys can't see. Good. Yeah, this is better. This is a better rundown. So we're going to talk about a number of topics today. They're mostly going to be sports related. We are going to do one little segue, a little continuation of yesterday's topic on Bernie Sanders, which, by the way, people that might construe this whole series on the Mattis file or whatever to mean that I'm a supporter of Bernie Sanders. No, I mean, if he was drowning, I'd throw a water bottle into the lake and tell him, have some more. I think he's a piece of shit. His supporters are a different thing. I know a number of his supporters who are, pleasant people. I don't like him. I think he's a piece of crap. I think he actually did betray his supporters. But we're going to be dealing a little with that. Who else? We're going to be dealing with all of the SJW people. I think you saw, let me pull it up, this new logo I made on Paint, the worldwide leader in woke. You can see here ESPN. It's all racial crap today. Racial, feminist, homosexual, and communist garbage. Whatever happened to times when sports was about who was the biggest piece of shit? You'd have people like who was that guy who always got into fights on the mound? Nolan Ryan. This was Nolan Ryan and what's his name? Nolan Ryan and Ventura. Robin Ventura. This was the sports that this was something you could be proud of. Fuck it, I don't want Major League Baseball is going to run ads. I want a video. I want a video of a fight on the mound. On the mound, baby. So you can see here. Why not unmute this?
First, watch out.
So you see.
Look at this.
This is the society that we grew up in. People beating the shit out of each other on the baseball mound. All the races beating the fuck out of each other on the baseball mound. It was great. So what you're saying is you are a Bernie voter. Yeah, I guess it is. This was, you can see Robin Ventura, Nolan Ryan. Robin Ventura, by the way, was an awful manager, but he was a great baseball player. Nice person. But, hockey fights, exactly. Arjun Sinha says, you're an anti-Bernie agent of the Mossad. Listen, I'll take an award from anybody. I hate people like Bernie Sanders who are pieces of crap, they're fake people. Let me show you something. This was Lennon McCarthy says Russians love communism, so they love Bernie. Also, both loves all that shit. yeah. I mean, listen, Lennon McCarthy, for example, was a former Bernie Sanders supporter. I think I know more Bernie Sanders supporters in my actual real life and on the internet than I know Trump supporters. If you want to talk about people that I talk to, I think I know more Bernie supporters than I know Trump supporters. So I'm not holding against people that voted for him. I'm just saying I hate him. So me see here. Did you just repeat yourself? Yeah. He's protesting too much. So yeah, listen. Let's not get it repetitive. Let's get back to the topic. So John Rocker, when I was a kid, I think it was 1999. I just looked up the story. He got suspended from Major League Baseball for a stupid interview he did where he made fun of gay people on the subway and I think immigrants or something. So it was a huge point of contention. So here's a video of an interview that Vice did with him 4 years ago when Vice actually did news stories. And it's very interesting how the person doesn't really fit the story. So take a watch.
The things he said about New York City, it didn't set well. What's he doing now? Anybody know?
Do you remember what you were thinking about each time you ran out onto the mound?
That I wanted to shove it up somebody's ass. I want to fuck you up.
Did you watch Eastbound and Down?
Every once in a while, I've seen a few episodes.
Do you ever get people saying, hey,
all the time.
You're the real Kenny Powers?
All the time. We were born in the same hospital in Statesboro, Georgia.
You and Danny McBride?
Yeah, Bullitt County Hospital. Some little things, there's like 10 births a year in this hospital. And I was born in 74, he was born in 76.
Do you think that you inspired the character?
From Will doing the skits on me, I think he did probably 2 or 3 of them. And I would say probably so.
Come on, New York! Hate me and boo! Because I know I'm a good man when the devil hates me. I am John Rocker. I'll fight all of you, you cesspool of homo race traitors. I'm gonna piss on you, New York!
What did you think of those SNL skits?
Funny as shit. Last time I saw Will was, I don't know, probably 8, 9 years ago.
Can you guys hear the audio, by the way? I know yesterday there was a real issue with the audio.
Part. And we sat there and had me and him and a buddy of mine, Molly Shannon, sat there and had a drink. And we shot the shit about the skits. It was funny.
How do you feel about the comparison when watching the show?
It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
At least they make it funny.
Yeah. Your life seems pretty funny.
Yeah, it can be humorous.
So there's 2 things you notice from this video. A, that John Rocker is not nearly the vein-throbbing racist that they portrayed him as in Sports Illustrated. Now this was like 10, 12 years later. And then the other thing is that Rachel Maddow looking, skinny reporter, she apparently, the longer the interview goes on, the more it looks like she's about to like give him a blowjob or something. And the comment section actually reflects this, I think. I remember that. Let me see here. Can you feel the tension in this documentary? I know I can. I can feel it down in my plums. She's hot. And then here's a fun. Okay, the takeaway from this: she banged him. Discuss. So I remember watching this 4 years ago, and everybody was talking about how she was gonna screw him, or vice versa.
I just got done filming that TV show Survivor.
Yeah,
It's going for like 2 months,
for real?
and I can't get myself back in gear. So I'm just like, work or screw off and play golf. Yeah, we'll start play golf again.
So we're at a charity golf tournament that John Rocker's playing in. And he's not exactly on his A game, so he's starting to get a little frustrated.
That's not gonna be near enough. That stinks. I'm gonna call my chiropractor now, tell him to be ready for me. I'll be there at 3. That's gonna be too short, too damn short. Get some touch, you idiot. On green? What'd I tell you? I'm hell out of the woods.
We're gonna fast forward. I don't know why this was so interesting. So let me see here. Yeah, this is the part where you really thought like she was gonna have sex with him or something. And Alicia, you can give your own opinion on this. Don't feel obligated to. Anybody in the audience, like score, like scale of 1 to 10. after we get finished watching the segments of this interview, you know, did this did this happen?
Stink. I'm no good. That's what happened. I mean, you can't fix sucks. There you go, Cucking. Keep them coming, brother. See, look at the difference there. See how clear that one is? You know what that one is? That's a good drink. That's gonna make my fucking nipples stiff right there. It will.
John invited us to a night out in Cooperstown. He's clearly still a big hit with baseball fans everywhere.
Great pitcher, great writer, great guy.
Go Dogs, sick 'em. I think the last time I had inappropriate sex with a stripper in New Orleans, I used a baseball sock for a condom. It wasn't the most pleasant thing I'd ever done.
Ever get sick of the attention?
You really have no choice.
Most people would consider your controversial comments to have adversely affected you, but do you think in some ways they keep you relevant?
Media portrays me in a negative light. In my opinion, a lot of media is liberal. And that damn is an absolute bigoted, ignorant jackass. And those comments, I mean, there's not a story much sexier than bigotry. I mean, that shit sells, which, in my opinion, this is from analyzing this shit from 20 different angles for 15 fucking years. You know, why are they so adamantly just stuck to it? I dated a black girl for 3 years. She lived with me for a year and a half. She's from Chelsea. She lived in Chelsea, New York. Gayest segment in New York City. You know? The media insisted it was a PR stunt. She lived with me.
You know, after hearing all the stuff that was said about him, about the comments he made about New York and all that kind of stuff, you know.
This is Marquise Grissom, by the way. He actually played here in Cleveland for, I think, 1 season. This guy was like, I remember now, he could steal bases like nobody's business. And then I think he had a couple injuries and his career ended. But yeah, he looks really old now. But yeah, I remember a lot of these people.
Everybody have their opinion, but for me as a player, I done met a whole bunch of different kind of people. You know, playing 17 years in the big leagues, and I didn't pay any of that stuff attention then, and I don't now. But when I first met him, he was a baseball guy. He was a good guy. He was, you know, he does everything that all of us do.
Do you think that any of the claims of people saying you're racist or bigot, etc., is any of that in any way valid?
Is it even valid?
Yeah.
No, none of it's valid. No.
John got drafted right out of high school. He was a young, talented...
All right, this video, I'll just put it in the chat. It is a great video, but we can't spend the whole night watching it. You know, Alicia says, why is an attractive man talking to the woman that looks like a man? I am not as harsh as you are about her, but she did remind me of this woman, Charlene Spiteri, from this band Texas, who I always thought was weirdly hot, but only in certain videos, and in other videos she looks creepy as hell. You know, I don't know if you guys listen to Texas. I think they're from Scotland or something. But yeah, you know, the thing I would say about that is there is a fair proportion of women who are attracted to asshole dudes who like to party and drink and hang out with their friends and don't care about what other people think. And they're, you know, and I'm not saying this because I think John Rocker is more of an asshole than me. I'm saying it because he is a reflection of the American male, and he played for the Atlanta Braves, and I think he played here in Cleveland for 1 year. And people get along with him because he's the type of person. He's a party guy. He loves to party and crap like that. And they really did a hit job on him in that New York Times piece, and he was suspended. Just criticize. That's an off the air conversation, buddy. but I know what you mean. but yeah, we could analyze this video for a whole segment. But there's much more things to talk about. There was this other video with him talking about George Zimmerman that was going to feature, but there's not enough time today. But I will say that there's an issue that I see with sports where now they're saying, this is an infringement on the First Amendment rights of players. Now, John Rocker, I think he was suspended for a very long time for saying a bunch of things that were, this is baseball suspends Rocker till May. This was from February 2000 because he said it. I think he said it in the playoffs in 1999, and then they decided to suspend him for 73 days. And not a single civil rights leader in the country stood up to defend John Rocker, a guy who the only cause he ever stood up for was the ability to get drunk on tequila and, bang some stripper, on the outskirts of Macon, Georgia. That was the big threat that he posed to society. And that he thought people on the subway had AIDS. But, that he doesn't pose a threat to anybody. He pitched for the Atlanta Braves. He was a closing pitcher. And they suspended him for 73 games for saying that people are, he hates the subway and the people that ride on the subway. There was no outcry. This was in 1999. It's just, I really don't understand why people are so bent out of shape about these people like losing out because of this new rule, which for those of you that are just joining, I think at this point, you could have NFL players who during the national anthem, they do a whole Chippendales routine, or they bring out like a poster of the, they start like, watching like a Nicki Minaj video on their phone. That they've already done the damage that they're going to do. These people are not going to respect the anthem anymore because the league is compelling them to do it. So I really don't care anymore. I don't care about the rule. I'm not for it or against it. I just think it's not going to work. Ryu Shiska says, I would rather be around that dude than a soy boy. Ryu Shiska, I never figured out if you're a woman or a man, by the way. So just let me know in the chat. Or you could be one of the other genders that Alicia talks about on her channel. And Alicia said, that is harsh. How sad that we have taught our girls to like bad boys. I don't think that John Rocker at this point in his life would be considered a bad boy. He's considered just a guy who goes and drinks with his friends. If he was a bad boy, he would have a long legal rap sheet against his name. He's never been, when I was a kid, you want to talk about John Rocker, to go off on a different tangent. The reason I really idolized the, when are you going to clean that shelf? Well, I'm one of those John Rocker bad boys. So, you even have behind me is Isaiah Thomas of the Detroit Pistons, who was a bad boy. That was the name of the team. Hi, Desert Pioneer. Welcome. I think I recognize you from somewhere. So, listen. The Dallas Cowboys, who I can't shut up about, one of the reasons I started really getting into them was because so many of them were being arrested for cocaine possession, and even I think their coach was arrested for illegal gun possession because he took a gun on a flight, Barry Switzer. That's how bad the team was in terms of following the law. So John Rocker is nothing. I mean, what's his name? I remember Michael Irvin got caught in a hotel room with a bunch of hookers and cocaine. It was like a whole kilo of cocaine, and this was like in 1996. And then he went to trial, and he was wearing a fur coat. So again, like people are now going to be complaining about the whole angle of the First Amendment and freedom of speech. Now, technically, you don't have freedom of speech at the workplace. I try when I was at the last job I worked at, there was always this sense in my mind that the way I behave on the air, I always tried to behave the exact opposite at work if I could. I didn't want to insult people's religion. There were a lot of Catholics where I worked. I don't have any problem with Catholics anyway. That's not the issue. I didn't want to get into racial arguments, even though there weren't that many. There were like more Hispanic people than black people, but I didn't want to get into political arguments because this was during, of course, the post-election and everything. So this was something I made an effort to do. I would get once in a while into political conversations with people. I would say I did get into it, and I really hold myself back, like a lot. It's not the way I behave on the air. And one of the reasons we have so many people doing YouTube channels is because they have to vent about how they see the world at their job, or how they see the world at their church, or how they see the world at their at their family dinner or something. Ryu Shiska says, just my stupid opinion, sounds like one hell of a night. Let me see here. If this goes sideways, Alyssa. Oh, so did you find me through Alicia Fleck's channel? Look, what I'm saying here is that people who are saying that the First Amendment is being violated by this rule, they don't understand that the First Amendment is only in cases where the government may abridge your speech. There's no guarantee that your employer cannot abridge your speech. If your employer finds, for example, that at your workplace you said something, that's why there are sexual harassment laws. And a lot of these liberals, they believe in more, and they're not really liberals anymore, but let's keep using the label for now. A lot of these people, they want these sexual harassment laws to be stronger. People did. You probably all saw earlier that Morgan Freeman has been accused by 8 women suddenly of sexual harassment. I haven't looked at any of the details or anything, but there is already probably a schism between people who will say that, oh, you have to believe that Morgan Freeman is just the new victim of this mob of people going after successful black men, like a lot of them even said about Bill Cosby. And then there's another group of people that will say that this is finally getting powerful men to be accountable for harassing women. And that's where, instead of making this about the veracity of the charge, instead of trying to, see whether it can be proven and believing in the presumption of innocence for Morgan Freeman, as well as the right of every woman to accuse somebody of a crime if they feel that their personal space has been violated, or they've been sexually assaulted or something, people will turn it into an argument over whether women's rights are being infringed or whether a black person's rights are being infringed. And that's a problem with the Morgan Freeman issue. That was a problem with O.J. Simpson trial as well. Feminist groups were very put off by the fact that a lot of these leaders and Simpson's lawyer, Johnny Cochran, turned it into a racial issue. Instead, if you want a universal principle that people can abide by, I think that the presumption of innocence, as well as the due process of law, they are the ones. Those are the two principles that give the victim and the defendant the best tools to arrive at something resembling justice. I don't know if you can ever achieve full justice. Alicia says, we vent and we find the ones that vent like us. It's a good thing. Len McCarthy says, it's really frustrating to be bombarded with the propaganda by the fake news industrial complex. If the glove doesn't fit, then you got a big schlong. The NFL fine for not standing for the anthem is too little. They should make it $1 million. Well, I think the fine is on the team anyway. I don't care. Like, honestly, the penalty is stupid. The penalty, I think, is a clever solution. We're not talking about actually satisfying the fans here, though. The fans will never be satisfied. The damage is done. There's a portion of the fan base that will always be saying, "Oh, people should be allowed to kneel because of reasons, because people get shot." They're not gonna. Like I said, when the St. Louis Rams raised their fists for Michael Brown in St. Louis during the Ferguson riots, they say, "Oh, we're making a civic statement." Well, the St. Louis Rams moved to LA the next year. Did anybody protest them leaving LA, leaving St. Louis, the community where it happened? No, they kept playing for the team. It doesn't mean anything. This is all bullshit. The whole patriotism thing is bullshit from the league side. And the whole woke thing is bullshit from the player side, especially Colin Kaepernick himself. Some of the other players, I think, do have some civic philosophy, but it really doesn't matter. Morgan Freeman can do no wrong, but this is a cover-up because the real crime, the real story is he had sex with his granddaughter. Yes, she was of age, but you know what? That's so disgusting. I don't even want to go into this today because I'll just be too distracted. So maybe a different time, guys. I'm not saying I don't believe you. I'm saying I have no clue what the hell you're talking about, and I don't need more distractions. This is a jam-packed live stream, by the way. Lots of information to get through. So, if those of you that want there to be full right of, the free speech in the workplace, then you would have no problem with Paolo Di Canio, who was an Italian soccer player, for Lazio, which has a massive fan base of people who are open Nazis. And, there's pictures of him. I had them earlier. They just look like shitty pictures in terms of photo quality. But he would, like, if he scored a goal, he would run around the field and do this. Like, he just do the Roman salute because he's an Italian fascist. And he just run around. I mean, so therefore, I mean, I know this is Italy. This isn't the United States. You would go up and you see all these, the Irriducibili, or I think it's Irriducibili, the unconquerables. That's the fan base of Lazio. They're actual fans who are, they are racist fans. Here's a photo of them. You go to a fucking game in Italy. There's your freedom of speech, buddy. You get a bunch of people, going all American History X in the stands. Does Colin Kaepernick stand for that? Freedom of speech, buddy. If you really believe in freedom of speech in America, you would say, well, people should be able to come to games and wave the fucking Nazi flag there too. The fans. You would believe, and obviously I'm Jewish. I'm not a Nazi. I don't think I am. I'll ask Anita Sarkeesian tomorrow. I'll send her a tweet and I'll ask her for confirmation. But the point here is that they don't really believe in freedom of speech. They found an issue where there was a lack of clarity on the part of the league, and people were saying, we want to know whether fans players are able to kneel or whether they're not, because it doesn't say explicitly in the rule book or anywhere else whether they are supposed to stand for the anthem or not. I think there's a game manual for the NFL. I forgot what it's called. So in one of the pieces of literature, it does say that you're supposed to stand for the anthem. And another one there isn't. Malevolent Rider. Hi again. How you doing? Bold to the left, you are a Nazi. Okay, I mean, shouldn't we wait for Anita to tell us? Ryushiska had a question earlier. Bold, my logic on the NFL thing is that those dudes should be proud to stand for an anthem if a country that makes it possible for them to make millions for playing for a fucking game. Yeah, but they're still finding the teams. I think. I don't think they're finding the players. So what that actually does, it will create pressure on the team to get players not to kneel, because the team will say, well, we have the option of you staying in the locker room. By the way, the story is here. Finding teams if they do not show respect for the flag and the anthem. So all team and league personnel on the field shall stand and show respect for the flag and the anthem. So it's a rule. It's fine that they instituted the rule. I'm saying it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to create harmony in the fan base. And I don't think that they and I think many of the owners know that, but they just want this they want to say that they came up with a solution. There is no solution. It's broken beyond repair. The fan base is divided. There's people who support protests. There's people who don't support protests. Personnel who choose not to stand for the anthem may stay in the locker room or in a similar location off the field until after the anthem has been performed. So that is a bit of a compromise. 4, a club will be fined by the league if its personnel are on the field and do not stand and show respect for the flag and the anthem. Each club may develop its own work rules consistent with the above principles regarding its personnel who do not stand and show respect for the flag and the anthem. 6, the commissioner will impose appropriate discipline on league personnel who do not stand and show respect for the flag and the anthem. So I'll tell you what the easy workaround for that will be. Teams that have sufficient fan bases. Let's say you take a team in a city like Seattle, where there are a lot of progressive fans. What they will do is they'll have a lot of their players will stay in the locker room, or even the entire team, and they will show on the screen a live feed on the scoreboard of the locker room where everybody's kneeling in the locker room. And I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to have to accommodate in some places people who are for the protests. And this isn't me saying that I support kneeling for the anthem or that I don't. I personally would stand for the anthem. I think a lot of the people who are kneeling for the anthem are doing it out of peer pressure. And there's only about 6 or 7 players who really have a firm conviction in what they're doing. There's 6 or 7 players. I think Eric Reed would be one of them. Richard Sherman would be another one. There's a couple people, I think, on the Kansas City Chiefs. Delaney Walker and Brandon Marshall, I think, might be one of them. I'm not sure. Elysius Clegg says, what is sad is that they shouldn't be forced to stand for the anthem, but at the same time, they shouldn't be being such a dick over something like this. It's so sad and strange. The story was broken well before the Me Too movement. Trust me, I love him. I am trying to prove it wrong. Well, I think, they're talking about Morgan Freeman again. I'll tell you what, as much as I like Morgan Freeman, I think James Earl Jones, who was Thulsa Doom in Conan the Barbarian, that is the very senior, wizened black actor that I find to be the most, the most captivating. In that movie, he was like one of the best villains ever. Another one, Sidney Poitier, is a great actor. He just hasn't had many good movies for a long time. Yeah. Let me see here. Half the people in the crowd at most events don't respect the anthem and colors either. Yeah, I think a lot of the people who are against the protests are also virtue signaling. Now, we're going to get to Jemele Hill. Let me see what the topic list is again, because, I get off on these tangents. So we went over the NFL anthem policy. We went over, we're gonna get to some Shaun King bullshit. I think most of you have probably heard a little about that. Shaun King is Talcum X. He's an idiot. Some people say he's not black at all. I would say that if I were a representative of white people, I'd probably try to keep him from identifying as white too. He would probably, the guy's an idiot, who wants him as part of their racial group. We're gonna go into, first of all, Dak Prescott said. So he's the guy who plays for the Cowboys. He's the He's the quarterback. He said he's going to continue to stand. And I think that there are certain teams and fan bases and groups of people who they never cared about the protest to begin with. LaShawn McCoy, who is a guy, he was the running back for the Buffalo Bills, said a couple years ago that, Colin Kaepernick is a distraction. And then he got toasted in the media for not being down with the cause. And this is a guy who himself had complained about Chip Kelly being racist. So since Kaepernick's protest, anybody who criticizes him, whether black or white, they're accused of either being a racist themselves or of not being down with the cause and being kind of a sellout or an Uncle Tom or any of the other racial put-downs that they put on black people. My position is if you like Colin Kaepernick, you have the right to like Colin Kaepernick. You have the right to like a player who's full of shit and hasn't done anything important for a few years except pretend that he's a politician. And if you don't like Colin Kaepernick, you can watch my show. Let's see here. Bull, do you know if those NFL dudes was kneeling for the national anthem of another country, they would be killed for disrespecting the anthem? I think last year they stood for the Mexican national anthem when the Raiders played in Mexico, and then they kneeled for the American anthem. So that was kind of funny. If they would have kneeled for the Mexican national anthem, the NFL would have definitely suspended them because they're trying to expand their market in Mexico, and it's good that they're trying to expand their market in Mexico. I think Mexico is a fantastic country for the NFL to promote the sport and everything. There's a lot of football fans in Mexico. And, I'm just saying, Ryu Shiska is right. I still don't, Ryu Shiska, you've never answered the question. Are you a man or a woman? I know this guy. However, we'll let it be a mystery. I have no clue. We're not going to do the whole Zoe thing because, identify as a shekel. That was a good answer. I like that one. This is a keeper. We're not doing the Zoe thing to her. I don't even know what did you guys do to her? Nobody actually explained it to me. Somebody's gonna have to write me an email or something, or send me a message on Twitter. What was the whole Zoe story? How'd you guys scare her away? So then you have this Dallas attorney apologizes for client's sex assault claim against a trooper, and it says, I don't know which one of you guys have already seen the story. It says a Dallas attorney has apologized for his client's claims that she was sexually assaulted by a Texas Department of Public Safety officer who pulled her over after. Let me just close a couple of these tabs because the screen is like longer than a friggin' line at Chick-fil-A. So where was I? Yeah, here we go. The woman's allegations drew widespread attention after they were shared on Twitter by prominent columnist and activist Shaun King, who has since deleted the tweet. She had said the DPS trooper pulled her over in Ellis County early Sunday on suspicion of driving while intoxicated, repeatedly offered to let her go in exchange for sexual favors, and sexually assaulted her when she declined, according to a statement from attorney Lee Merritt. Nearly 2 hours of body camera footage shows the woman, 37-year-old Sharita Dixon Cole of Grapevine, being pulled over, performing a field sobriety test, and being handcuffed and booked into the Ellis County Jail. She was released Sunday night after posting bond. The footage directly conflicts with the account the woman gave to Merritt's office, he said in a written statement early Wednesday. So it is a bad. I do know if you lie to your attorney, it's not a good idea because they usually, attorneys depend to put it very simply, I don't think you have to have a long experience with the law to know that attorneys go to, they go to court. They often see the same judge repeatedly if they're working in the same district or the same locality, whether it's a municipal court or whatever. They want to build a reputation with the judge. And judges, if they develop a poor reputation of the attorney, or the attorney brings suits that seem frivolous to the judge, then they're not going to get good treatment in the court. And then the attorney begins to lose. They just lose clients, because clients will nowadays, even there's reviews available. You can see if an attorney has high reviews. It's like any other profession. So this guy is probably pissed as hell. So maybe you have to either believe him or not believe him. And this attorney is probably very, very pissed off about the publicity that's now coming from this. It says, it is deeply troubling when innocent parties are falsely accused, and I am truly sorry for any trouble these claims may have caused Officer Hubbard and his family, Merritt said in a statement. I take full responsibility for amplifying these claims to the point of national concern. That's at least an apology from him. So, I don't know how bad he smeared this officer publicly, because I've seen some of these attorneys that do it, and it's pretty embarrassing sometimes how they just turn it into a public trial, a kangaroo court trial, and then they wait for the courts to deliver what do you call it? A legal settlement. They'll sue the city, and the city will pay rather than fight it in court, because they don't want the publicity. So Merritt said he thanked the public for echoing the office's demands for justice, but in this matter, it seems your righteous vigilance was abused. That's a good way of putting it. King, whose tweet about the allegations was widely shared before it was deleted, could not be reached for comment. So the Dallas Morning News could not reach Shaun King. This is a guy who is supposedly Mr. Independent media. He works for the Young Turks, by the way, if we have to shoehorn the Young Turks into my channel. Shaun King works for the Young Turks, and after all the racial arsonist crap that he's done before, why does this keep coming up? What the fuck is this crap? Distro scale. No, I don't want to see this. So, what the fuck is going on here? His blog post detailing the woman's accusations was taken down Wednesday. He tweeted Wednesday afternoon that the body camera video did not appear to show any verbal threat, sexual assault, or police brutality. The DPS said in a written statement that after the arrest, spurious and false accusations came to light against the trooper. The department got authorization from the Ellis County District Attorney to release the video from the officer's body camera. Parts of the video are blurred or inaudible to redact the woman's personally identifying information, the department said. So yeah, they can't dox her because she hasn't been, for example, if she's saying her address, they're not going to reveal that to the public. Although I think that is public record if she is convicted. Good night, Alicia Clegg. Thanks for joining us. And yeah, tune in later, of course. Thank you. Wow, you guys are... Ryu Shiska, I am a male. We was talking about her being crazy, and that Crazy Chicks has the best poontang, and that she likes to stick wide. Okay, yeah. Okay. This is what I thought it would be. I wanted you guys to say it and not me. Ew. Just my stupid opinion. There are a lot of these stories going around. There was another where a black woman said a cop threatened to drag her from the car, said she felt like Sandra Bland. Yet when audio came out, the cop was very respectful to her. Ryu Shiska, no, I had nothing to do with that. Yeah, so that was a funny conversation. Bold, who would want to tap that woman? She was dressed like a straight prostitute. I don't think the cop wants to lose his job plus catch an STD. And to add to it, he had a body cam on. Well, what they did was that they probably... There's a scene from the movie Crash, if any of you know it, where Matt Dillon, who's a LAPD patrolman, he rapes Thandie Newton, who is a woman married to Terrence Howard's character, who's a successful black Hollywood producer or something. And he was a very successful person in Hollywood in the movie. And it was meant to convey that even successful black people can be victimized by police. And in that case, she was actually she wasn't raped, but he basically stuck his hand up her what's it called, up her snatch in the movie. And it was a very graphic scene. It was very well acted. And even though a lot of the movie was bullshit because it was very, there was no center of attention. It was like kind of this, it was portraying LA as the most racist city in America. You know, how this Iranian guy was racist against Mexicans. And how, obviously there was this police officer who was very racist, but he was treated poorly by a customer service rep. Dealing with his father's case. His dad was handicapped or something, and he needed a home help aid, and he couldn't what's it called? He couldn't pass water or something. He had some sort of bladder disorder. It was a very complicated movie. It was meant to be complicated to show how LA was complicated, but I think many people would make the conclusion that the movie itself was it gave a lot of bad stereotypes to people of all different backgrounds in LA. I know Ludacris was in that movie too. It had like an all-star cast. Ryan Philippe was in that movie. The only movie where he isn't like banging a ton of women is Crash. So that scene, I think that they were basically saying, we wanted to they basically ripped off the spirit of that scene. Let's close that video. Where was it? I think I did close the Dallas Morning News story. And then Shaun King did post this. He said, when the victim you fought for turns out to be the victimizer, Sharita Dixon Cole and the painful consequences of a false report of sexual assault and police misconduct. I think this is short enough that we'll just read it. On this past Sunday evening, after being contacted by family, friends, and attorneys for a Texas woman named Sharita Dixon Cole, I was told that she had been sexually assaulted and violently threatened by a police officer while in custody. I was horrified. If we knew somebody who had that type of story that came to us, I think it's a proper reaction. If I personally, I'm not reading from the story right now, but if I personally heard that story from somebody that I know, I would be very pissed off. But, if you're acting in the capacity of a journalist, you have to react a little differently. You have to go in depth about it and kind of verify as much as you can. Sadly, these things happen way too often in our country. I've walked victims through this before, many fighting for years on end to prove the truth behind their victimization. Sharita Dixon Cole's allegations were genuinely awful. They were also forcefully supported by her fiancé, who was present for some of the encounter they described. Her character was defended to me by those who knew her well. I probed. That's a bad word to use. Fuck, I'm an asshole. Human beings and the decisions they sometimes make are a mystery, though. Earlier today, I was able to review nearly 2 hours of body camera footage provided by the police department. The footage appears to be authentic and trustworthy. At no time does it show any of the horrible allegations originally made by Sharita Dixon Cole. The officer never threatens her or her fiancé as she described. No sexual assault of any kind takes place. From all indications, the officer, Daniel Hubbard, was very professional and patient throughout the ordeal. The whole thing was rather routine and painfully normal. The arrest, based on the video, is arguably unwarranted, but that's rather irrelevant here. The officer administered a DUI test, and she passed every physical requirement and request over the course of 20 straight minutes of being examined. She also passed the breathalyzer test twice, breathing under the legal limit 2 different times, according to the police report. The officer then communicated to Sharita and her fiancé, who arrived on the scene later, that the arrest was a courtesy. That is his prerogative if he still deemed that she was under the influence or was an unsafe driver. That's how this case should have been discussed. That appears to be the most that went wrong here in terms of actual encounter with the officer. What's just so baffling is that Sharita was calm and respectful the entire time. Her fiancé was calm and respectful. The officer was calm and respectful. From start to finish, Sharita Dixon Cole was in the custody of the officer for about an hour. It was normal and without incident. Nobody even raised their voices. I've watched the whole hour they were together from start to finish 3 different times now. None of the criminal allegations that Sharita Dixon Cole communicated very clearly to her family, friends, and attorneys ever took place on this video. Not one. Not the threats, not the sexual assaults, none of this. None of it. It was one of the most bizarre things I've ever heard of. To this very moment, Sharita Dixon Cole still insists everything that she said actually happened. She claims the body camera footage must have been edited to remove the worst parts. This is not unthinkable. I've seen it happen before, but it absolutely does not appear to happen here. Outside of personal information being blurted out, the video appears to be in its original form. I viewed it with an editing expert. Nothing horrible took place there. Nothing criminal has been edited out. Furthermore, Sharita Dixon Cole's behavior and demeanor throughout the video, which is calm, cool, and collected at all times from start to finish, just does not support her claims. I can't even begin to make sense of why someone would concoct such an awful story. Yeah, I could think of a reason: suing the city. Particularly in light of the reality that both police brutality and sexual assaults are a very real crisis in this nation. It does a tremendous disservice to actual victims when something horrible like this is fabricated. It provides an unfair spotlight to a good cop and undeserved cover for the bad ones who will try to use an incident like this as false proof of their innocence. Sharita Dixon. So let's see if we can find his. Let's see. What did you put before that? So there's no way to filter this. Fuck. So we'll just have to search like raw, Shaun King, Sharita Dixon Cole. We'll have to. Yeah, this is what he said. Will Sharita Dixon Cole get justice? And this is on Black America Web, and you see some of these users, and I don't know, maybe there are some people that are trolls, but there's also Rachel Dolezal facing charges for welfare fraud. I mean, that's a fake white woman, that's a fake black woman trying to claim to be a black woman. Obviously, that's a little different of a issue. Let's see if maybe Daily Caller has the link. So this is a May 20th tweet. Let's see if I think it's probably been deleted. Yeah, well, here we go. This woman was kidnapped and raped by a Texas State Trooper, Officer Hubbard. She is now being held hostage in Ellis County Jail. ! Sharita Dixon Cole just happens to be a close personal friend of civil rights attorney and my close friend Lee Merritt. These are the facts he was able to get together after speaking with Sharita's family. On May 20th, 2018 at approximately 1:30 a.m., Sharita Dixon Cole was pulled over in Waxahachie, Texas by a Texas State Trooper, Officer Hubbard, near an abandoned car dealership. I-287 South and I-35 South. She was told she was being stopped because Hubbard suspected she was driving while intoxicated. Cole voluntarily performed and passed all DUI, DWI protocol, including a breathalyzer. However, Hubbard decided he didn't like her attitude and that he was going to take her to jail anyway. He handcuffed her hands behind her back and placed Cole in the front passenger seat of his patrol vehicle. Hubbard then took a seat behind Cole and placed his hand on her thigh. He asked her if she wanted to go home, and as he hiked up her skirt, he told her that she could learn she could earn her way home if she really wanted to go. Cole had called her boy. So this is virtually word for word. The only difference between this and that scene in the movie Crash is that in the movie, the boyfriend or the husband was there the whole time. In this one, he arrives later. Cole had called her boyfriend to the scene of the stop when she first pulled over. He arrived just as the officer began to accost her. Hubbard asked Cole who was in the car. When she explained it was her fiancé, he asked her, was he armed? When she said he was not, Hubbard retorted, if you tell him what happened, he will be armed and his firearm will be visible when I have to shoot him. So this is another total bullshit. Hubbard went out to speak with Cole's boyfriend. Well, there it ends. But this is Shaun King being an idiot. That virtually, it's almost exactly the same as that movie. Who else is here? Pinochet. I saw Pinochet was getting some shit earlier on, I think it was Alicia Clegg's live stream. So welcome. You're in sympathetic waters here. Oh, Generalissimo. I'm just kidding. I don't really care about the historical General Pinochet, but you're free to put it on my chat. I guess if we have to accept Colin Kaepernick's right to free speech, we have to accept Pinochet's. By the way, another story we're not going to focus on, but I think plenty of you noticed that the Supreme Court, or I think it was a federal court, they ruled that Donald Trump can't block people on Twitter because it's a violation of the First Amendment. So he has a private Twitter account, and because he's the president of the United States, they can't they can't abridge people's free speech to call him all sorts of name like Cheeto Nazi and say things about his daughter, like him like alleging that he raped his daughter or something. But the British police, you can't troll their account, over in Britain, or you can't do things. Twitter has to come clean from now on. They're just not a free speech platform. They're just garbage. They're total garbage. The court order, if it was really applied, it would blow Twitter to smithereens. Let's see. Yeah, we still have tons of shit to go through. So yeah, if you want, this guy, does he deserve the First Amendment? He's from Italy, but if he was to coach, let's say, a soccer team here in the U.S., let's say the LA Galaxy, or does Chivas still exist here? Chivas, LA. Chivas USA, I think they're gone. Did they fold? Let's see here. LAFC. So they had to rebrand the team. But let's say he was the manager of that team, or he was the manager of what's that other team? The San Jose Earthquakes. There's another team up in there's the Vancouver Whitecaps over in Canada, I know. There's Toronto FC. There's FC Dallas. Should he be allowed to be their coach? Because I thought the First Amendment is paramount. Let's see here. We got 7 people in the building. Welcome everybody. Lennon McCarthy, of course, is here. Ryu Shiska. Just my stupid opinion. Arjun Sinha. Pinochet. So, we're going to work our way through all these. We're going to, Rachel Dolezal, who posed as a black woman charged with welfare fraud. The ex-NAACP chapter leader in Washington who caused national outrage after it was revealed she's a white woman posing as black has been charged. So this is the Daily News, Shaun King's newspaper. If you can believe that. He works for the Daily News, and they're putting out an article about a white woman posing as a black woman, and they employ a white guy who most people would say he's a white guy. I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt. I don't know Shaun King's race, but there's credible evidence that he's not who he says he is. Dolezal, who legally changed her name to Nechi Diallo in 2016, allegedly stole over $8,000 in food stamps and $100 in child care assistance from August 2015 until last November. The full probe into Diallo began last March after her autobiography in full color, Finding My Place in a Black and White World, was published. Investigators learned Diallo said she was receiving public assistance and that she reported she was making less than $500 a month. But court documents showed she made nearly $84,000 between August 2015 and September 2017 without reporting it, according to KHQ. When confronted by investigators last month, Diallo said she fully disclosed her information and didn't answer further questions. That's why I think like the whole welfare system needs to be reformed. So, I think if you're too far in the public eye and you're doing these shenanigans, you're really taking a risk. So I'm not going to pass a moral judgment on her, but I will say that, this is somebody who is really, really, her credibility has been shot so many times over the years. And they keep bringing her back because it's good for the media to have somebody like this who's just a curiosity. Let's see what everybody thinks about that one. Shaun King is like a reverse Clayton Bigsby. Yeah, I mean, I can tell you're really into the Chappelle Show because, yeah, I wish that show stayed on. Len McCarthy says change her name to Tamika Ebony Midnight X. I bet Shaun King, that's a nice one. I bet Shaun King eats mayo on his toast just to keep in touch with his white side. I don't understand that one. There was something I heard about mayo and toast like a week ago. Is that a reference? I forgot what that means. So there's some sort of joke about mayo that I forgot about. Right, it's Len McCarthy. Trump's tweets are a public forum, but Twitter isn't, huh? Yeah, the Twitter, let me tell you something. So we're going to segue in. Let me see if this is the correct moment. We're going to talk about SJW reporters. So we've gone through, let me see. This is done. We'll get rid of this window with, I don't think we're going to do this one tonight because there's just two. We're not going to do anything Israel or Gaza related for the rest of the week because, honestly, I've written 3 different articles on it on Minds.com, by the way. So follow me on Minds.com and you can find my 3 articles on it on my blog. So you can go down to over here. Let me just pull this over here for a second. Minds.com. Open this. You can see me. You can see, you can see this. Hey, doesn't this look familiar? We're doing it right now. Right now, it's like you're looking into a different dimension, right? And here are my blogs, and this one isn't done yet. So we're going to be doing something on the Mattis file. But you have 3 blogs on Gaza, but we're not going to talk any more about Gaza and Israel and Palestine today. Am I still having trouble with my Steam account? Yes, I am, and I've emailed them several times, and they won't. Or no, I've emailed them one time, but then they never got back to me. And as much as I like Steemit, I might have to give up on it, just because it's a little too difficult to deal with that crap. Just getting the account difficulties are the real problem with Steemit. Other than that, I like it as a platform. Bold, when are you going to invite Zoe for a show so you can interview that twisted soul? Look, I said on the air, I don't think Ryu Shishko was watching that time when she really went after me and started calling me like names. Like that was the first time I discussed Gaza last week. And I said, you can come on the air, but you're an asshole, and I don't give a shit what you think. And Zoe kind of calmed down after that, especially after I started making fun of her because I thought, Zoe, I think her name was Zoe Hurd, and it sounded like Zoe Tur, who is a transsexual reporter in LA. So I was like, I don't have any problem with transsexual reporters like insulting me, but that means, for my religion, but that means I can insult you for being a transsexual. And then I don't know what the hell happened with her. You guys kind of took the lead from there. So Zoe's welcome back. I don't care. The only person I really blocked on here was this idiot who he was saying like some very racist stuff, but he was also talking about the whole Enumclaw horse sex thing like constantly, and he was spamming my feed and whatever. And I blocked that guy, and I don't regret it. If you spam me and spam comment my videos, you're getting blocked. I don't have to watch like 80 comments about the same crap. The name of the reporter is Zoe Tur, so that's not the person we're talking about. It's a user. Mayo is the root cause of whiteness. I think she is a fat guy behind a computer. Her name was Zoe Hurd, but honestly, I think we have more important fish to fry here. So we're talking about reporters right now that are basically focused too much on politics and not on the topic that they're really supposed to be reporting. Now it's not just in sports. If you go into cinema, people will say, for example, people are talking about the new Han Solo movie, that it's too much about diversity. There's a whole thing where they said Lando Calrissian is pansexual. so does that mean he screws all those weird aliens that are in there? The ones with the flute heads or something. I mean, what the hell does that even mean? So it's not just in sports. It's not just with ESPN. When people want to go watch a movie, they want to watch a movie that is there's a lot of drama and action, and that's it. They don't want to watch a movie that is constantly like watching a PowerPoint about different topics of diversity. Len McCarthy, why is she attacking Bold? I think she was one of these people that was the Zoe Hurd was a follower of Ryan Dawson, who is an anarcho-capitalist who fought with Halsey English. And I think that the issue there was she found my channel for some reason because I guess maybe I was on Halsey English's channel one time, and she thought she would check it out. And she assumed basically I think everything that Halsey English thinks like exactly the same because we're both Jewish. The fact of the matter is that I know Halsey English kind of casually, and I've talked to him a few times, and he's pretty good, but I don't know what the fuck she wanted from me. If she's mad at Halsey English, she can go on his channel and spam him and see how he deals with it. Because honestly, it's is Halsey English therefore responsible for things that I say on this channel? I say things about how I think that Michael Medved is an idiot because he wanted raccoons to be drowned. So is Halsey English responsible for my pro raccoon survival comments? No. It's ridiculous. I mean, get over it. So yeah, you guys can keep discussing Zoe. I'm done with it. In fact, I think she only watched like 2 or 3 of my feeds and then she left because she got bored. Because she's not interested in anything that actually matters. She's interested in talking about Jews. I'm talking about Nicaragua. I'm talking about Venezuela day in, day out. I'm talking about exposing actual fake news, which we're gonna reiterate a couple things about the Mattis file at the end of today. I'm working with people who do want to work on actual news topics, working on bringing news to the public's attention that we're investigating because we think that it's important topics. And, just my stupid opinion is involved in it. And, you have people like Zoe that come in on the chat. I don't know what the hell is her problem. She can kiss my ass. What does she do with her free time? She watches it like idiots like me. So, who is she to judge? So, we're going to talk about Jemele Hill. Before Jemele Hill, there's a number of other people who are morons that are in the news, and especially on ESPN. This is Max Kellerman. So here's the video. This is on Breitbart, but it is video from ESPN. And it says, Eagles should visit the White House if they're comfortable with a president who has demonized immigrants.
Paging Max Kellerman. All right, Max, so the Eagles have an invite, but the question is, should they actually go?
Should the Eagles go to the White House? Absolutely they should, if they're comfortable with a chief executive who has undermined the institutions that have preserved the American way, a free press, an independent justice department, etc. If they're comfortable with that, then they should go. If they're comfortable with a chief executive who's demonized immigrants, they should go to the White House. Absolutely, they should go. If they're comfortable with a president who has repeatedly and brazenly lied since taking office over 3,000 times by the count of independent counters of these things, then they should go. If they're comfortable with a chief executive whose business associates have been indicted at an unprecedented rate, then they should go. With a guy with a chief executive who's used the office for personal enrichment, then sure, they should go. And with a chief executive who has, an ongoing investigation into his administration, then they should go to the White House. If all those things, I won't even bring up, appeals to ethno-nationalism or anything like that. They're comfortable with that chief executive, then they should, by all means, normalize the existence of that kind of an administration by attending the White House. Sure.
Okay, so that's Max Kellerman, and in my opinion, they focus on Jemele Hill, who I think is more. I would say Max Kellerman might be more annoying. He replaced, for those of you that watched ESPN in the past, I used to watch First Take when Skip Bayless was on because I hate both him and what's that other guy's name? Stephen A. Smith, who's in the frame here. You can see him at the left. And in the middle is Molly Karim. So the whole purpose of the show is we'll just show it so you can see clearer. Stephen A. Smith, he brings viewers because he says, this is not me saying this because I'm a Cowboys fan. This is a fact. He is there to attack the Dallas Cowboys and various other people and stir the pot. So he's basically a paid troll for ESPN to troll actual fans, and they do it with other things too. Mark May, I think, is a guy that they have. I don't know if he's on ESPN or CBS, but they use him because he's an anti-Ohio State commentator, and he'll make all these comments about how Ohio State is not going to make it to they're not worthy of even getting into a bowl game or whatever, and then that's how they do it. Max Kellerman is an SJW, and Molly Karim is the pretty face in the middle. She doesn't actually know anything about the topics, about sports or anything. Actually, you know what? I'll say this. From the show, she might actually be the person who knows more than the other two morons. Just My Stupid Opinion says, back in, 2013, Tim Thomas of hockey refused to go to the White House to see Obama, and the media chastised him brutally, even some saying he was racist. Now they are saying the opposite. Lovely. Yeah, I remembered that there was a hockey player. I didn't remember who it was because I knew that he was from the Penguins. Arjun says, is that ESPN? If it is, then yeah, it is ESPN. And there's a guy I listen to named Clay Travis who has this show called Outkick the Coverage on Fox Sports, who is constantly trolling them. He calls them MS ESPN. He says, they don't, they're basically, he says ESPN is making him rich because they're losing all these listeners for their radio shows and they're all going to his radio show. Where I was just says, okay, you know what? Fuck this guy. Exactly. I think he's worse than Jemele Hill, who we're going to get to. What's this? Race baiting leftist scumbag. Ryu Shiska, how did you get the moderating thing? Did Len McCarthy give it to you? Or was it, let me see here. I guess, yeah, I'll just add a moderator. Remove moderator. I don't care. I mean, you can be a moderator. Nobody cares what. I mean, by the way, if people are trolling in the chat, I don't care. If people wander on, even Zoe, I don't think we should block if she comes back. But that one guy that was, and I'm not going to mention his name, that was a spammer. Do these people actually think their opinion is valued by others? They're stupid. No, I think Max Kellerman is one of the people talk about Jemele Hill, but Max Kellerman is equally as bad. You know what? This Political article, maybe we'll bring it up tomorrow. The whole Bernie thing that they're trying to say that his campaign is failing. If I do make another, make it to tomorrow, I know that me and Just My Stupid Opinion were talking about having something on his channel tomorrow, so maybe I'll bring it up if he wants to, because that's an article that is kind of relevant to the Mattis file because it's by one of the reporters that I did cover in there. Anyway, Jemele Hill is, you can see her in this typical pose. Let me see here. I'm gonna have to move this to a different window, so hold on. This window we put over here, and then we move that one over there, and that's good. So, we covered that whole story with Shaun King being a fake news reporter, and even the Griot, which is a hard left, Afro-American oriented thing, site. Sorry, I had a brain fart there. So they said, they know that she lied. They even put a question mark there. Did she lie? New evidence and sexual assault allegation against Texas state trooper causes the case to fall apart. No, she did lie. And even her attorney, once her attorney says that you've lied, you've lied. That's it. When it comes to, so we know that Shaun King basically reported fake news. And here we're talking about somebody who is fake news, Jemele Hill, and I'll talk about her as long as I have to. This is a woman who, she's supposed to be a reporter on athletic events, on, feats of strength and fitness, sports. You're supposed to be reporting on athletic entertainment. And she is now being given the award Journalist of the Year by the National Association of Black Journalists, not for anything that she actually did related to sports. And you know what? She had a show, I believe, back in the day that was called His and Her with her sidekick, Michael Smith. And, it was that type of show that it's more about like the social issues in sports than it is about the actual sports events themselves. And then I was reading the background on this again, just to refresh my memory. In 2017, ESPN gave her and Michael Smith the anchor spots on ESPN's 6 p.m. Sports Center broadcast, and it just went downhill from there. Because when you think of Sports Center, you would think of these highlights of Shawn Kemp doing these windmill dunks. I mean, let's see here. Sports Center, Shawn Kemp videos. Let's see here. Yeah, we might as well use this video on Twitter. So.
Away from behind, Ricky goes back to get it. Fires it cross court. It's got it right up into the alley. Power slam! Tomahawk Sam! Yeah, baby! Into Lister's face, and the Sonics take the lead. 48-47.
So that was what you would expect from SportsCenter. Now that wasn't an actual SportsCenter clip, so it might be a bad example, but it was highlights. It was great. You see Shawn Kemp basically dunking on Alton Lister and sending him to the floor. It was an amazing, that was a, and now SportsCenter looks basically, this would be the type of facial expression viewers actually have when they watch SportsCenter. Worried that, they can't comment on the story being presented because you don't have the right viewpoint. So SportsCenter it's gone from being an expression of, the visual, the visual wonders of athletics. You'd see people doing like dunks or a nice NASCAR crash. Everybody likes NASCAR crashes, right? Or Nolan Ryan getting into a fight on the mound with Robin Ventura. And instead of that, you just have people looking sad about the state of America. No, that's not what SportsCenter is for. And it's all because it's also Jemele Hill. You see her here. She is a corporate shill. She is a person who is she is bought and sold by corporate sponsors. You see her taking, this is actually the credit for the image goes to Hennessy, which is it's an alcoholic drink that is loved by a lot of these rappers the world over. And you see me here, I'm drinking out of this bottle of this water. I have water in an old seltzer bottle. That's what I'm drinking. She's not a voice of America's disadvantage. She's a voice of America's corporate sponsors. And then she'll say, "Oh, I'm defending the black people" or something. So it says Jemele Hill, senior correspondent and columnist for ESPN's The Undefeated, more on them soon, has been selected as the 2018 Journalist of the Year by the National Association of Black Journalists. In a press release announcing her selection, NABJ said that Hill is known for her, quote, her provocative commentary on what's happening in sports and in the news. She uses her platform to address national, social, and cultural issues in addition to sports. Hill nearly broke the internet. So this is why she's getting the award. Not for revealing any journalistic stories or breaking any it's not like she exposed, Chernobyl melting down or something. This is why she's getting an award. Hill nearly broke the internet last year when she criticized President Donald Trump. She also, taking up the NABJ spirit of advocacy, addressed athletes' rights to take a knee to protest police brutality. She did all this while co-anchoring a groundbreaking rebrand of ESPN's marquee show, SportsCenter, or SC6, along with fellow NABJ member Michael Smith. The organization continued. In response to the announcement, Hill said it would be a serious understatement to call this recognition from NABJ special. This organization has been a second family for me, both personally and professionally. I am humbled by. So what this really means is that a lot of these people know Jemele Hill, and she's basically this is equivalent of the the in crowd. How the Emmys is picked by people who know the right producers. And if you're an outsider, fuck you. I am humbled to be honored by an organization whose values not only match my own journalistically, but has tirelessly dedicated itself to developing and nurturing journalists like me. This is the biggest accomplishment of my career, she added. In October, Hill was, that's the accomplishment, getting the prize, not actually reporting a story that matters. Hill was suspended by ESPN for 2 weeks after what is described was a second violation of its social media guidelines. I want to give an aside, by the way. People might notice that I have Isaiah Thomas behind my shoulder, and they might say, well, aren't you just virtually signaling too? I mean, you have a black athlete behind you. It's not politically correct to virtue signal as Isaiah Thomas because he was fired from being the vice president of the New York Knicks for sexual harassment. So technically, I'm basically a chauvinist pig for even having his poster. Even though I don't know, maybe he did do some of those things. But I don't have the poster because of that. I have the poster because he was a fantastic basketball player, and that's it. So I liked Isaiah Thomas because I was watching a lot of highlights of his, and I think he's great. And I saw a movie where, or not a movie, but it wasn't, coincidentally, it was an ESPN 30 for 30 special on the Bad Boys, the team that he was a part of. So, I liked the film, and I said, yeah, this is a good poster. It's a let's feature it here. You see him, nice product placement there with a Coca-Cola. After they win the championship. That's what an athlete looked like when I was a kid. Yeah, fuck it. Fuck it, it'll go on tomorrow. We don't have time to waste that. We have time to waste on putting my bookshelf or the things that cover it up back in order. So, in October, Hill was suspended by ESPN for 2 weeks after what it determined was a second violation of its social media guidelines. Hill first tweeted in September that Donald Trump was the most ignorant, offensive president of my lifetime. His rise is a direct result of white supremacy, period. In October, they did suspend her for that, and I think you could argue that that it doesn't matter. I could care less if she says that. I think she's an idiot. And anybody who thinks that her opinion actually matters, the only reason her opinion matters is because she's destroyed SportsCenter. People don't even want to watch that show. I think it's probably been a good 5 years since I watched SportsCenter anyway, so it's not her fault. But everybody knows what I'm talking about. Everybody. I'm not looking at the chat at the moment. But the next time I look at the chat, I want to see you put in the chat one form of entertainment. Specifically, put like a movie, put a sport, put a band, put a type of music, anything that you think has been ruined by progressive virtue signaling and the policing of free speech. Anything you want. Tell me what was ruined by it. It could. I mean, I guess there are certain things I wouldn't want to watch, but let me know. In October, after Dallas Cowboys team owner Jerry Jones said that he would bench any player who kneeled during the national anthem, Hill tweeted that the best way to reject what he said was to go after his advertisers. Jemele Hill has been suspended for 2 weeks so you don't understand. They didn't explain why that was a problem. The reason that's a problem is because she was effectively telling people to boycott ESPN, which shows NFL games. So if she was telling people not to watch games that feature either the Dallas Cowboys or these teams, if ESPN has a game with the Dallas Cowboys in it, she was effectively saying to the fans to boycott the network if the Cowboys were on it. So yeah, she's an idiot. She previously acknowledged letting her colleagues and company down with an impulsive tweet. So then it says, in the aftermath, all employees were reminded of how individual tweets may reflect negatively on ESPN and that such actions would have consequences, the statement continued. Hence this decision. Hill was supported by fans and fellow journalists alike with the hashtag I stand with Jemele. With regard to the suspension, Hill has publicly said that she regrets nothing. So, that means that she was lying in her public statement. Hill is the epitome of standing up for what you believe in, and this latest honor is well deserved. She will be honored at the annual NABJ convention on August 4th in her hometown of Detroit. So they're giving. Let me put it this way. There's a conference in Detroit by black journalists honoring a woman who is basically, she's wearing a Sprite shirt here with a Hennessy drink in her hand in one of the worst run cities in America where black people are basically suffering. They can't even get heat in the classrooms in Detroit. And many of the schools there actually have live vermin running through the hallways, actual rats. And they decide that the proper gesture to deal with that, rather than addressing, the problem that you have a real vacuum of leadership at the local level in many of these cities for black people. You have the city of Detroit. It's been in default. The state has had to take over the school system before. you had basically the mayor, Kwame Kilpatrick, robbing the city blind. And the solution to that is to have this Black Journalism Awards ceremony, bring this black elite here. You know, have this person virtue signaling to the camera, smiling like she's having the time of her life, but she's saying, you know, the president of the United States is the worst human being ever, basically, worst president. What was the tweet? You know, she said, the most ignorant, offensive president of my lifetime is rise as the result of white supremacy, period. I mean, that's patently false. In fact, Bill Clinton ran for president in 1992, and he was governor of Arkansas. And during the New Hampshire, I think it was after the New Hampshire primary, he flew home to Arkansas specifically so he could oversee the execution of a mentally ill black person, Ricky Ray Rector. And I'm not a person who's anti-death penalty on principle. I'm saying if somebody is mentally ill, or I think he might have actually been like mentally handicapped, like not just mentally ill, but like actually suffer from a cognitive disorder, I think that the death penalty might be questionable in that case. You know, maybe you shouldn't execute people for that. Let me see what you guys are putting here. Pinochet says porn. You know, I personally don't have that experience, but you know, maybe you watch a different type than the rest of us. Late night talk shows. Yes, absolutely. Conan O'Brien was once one of my favorite shows ever. Craig Ferguson was also good. I think he might have left late night because he saw the way it was going. He was like, you know, I'm probably not going to have fun doing this. SNL ruined kids cartoons. Yes, a lot of these kids cartoons are stupid. Ryu Shiska, music movies, and magazines. Well, okay, guys, get a little more specific here. You know, maybe an artist that you used to like or something. Lennon McCarthy had a good one, which was SNL. Commercials, universities, ads, social media, education, ads as in advertisements. YouTube, Rob Reiner. That's a good one, Lennon McCarthy. Yeah, Rob Reiner made some great movies. He made Stand By Me, and he made This Is Spinal Tap, and you know, he's literally lost his mind in the, you know, and that's putting it very lightly. Pinochet, how did you get that crown? Did McCarthy start handing out rules? Whatever. Do whatever the fuck you want. Just get specific. An artist that you used to like that is kind of an idiot now. I would say the one that I used to really think was great would be, well, let me think. It would probably have to be a band. Bruce Springsteen would be one. Bruce Springsteen has gotten to be kind of a turd. The intelligence. No, you guys have to be more specific, okay? Specific, like an artist, movie, any movie that you say would be ruined. I mean, I mentioned, for example, Star Wars has been ruined. Yeah, let's see some of the comments here. Well, those endorsements must be rolling in. So this woman or whatever, you know, I think maybe it's a woman, maybe it's a man. I was once a Henny hater, any brand of cognac, actually, but I have no issue with Hill getting her money. Her cokehead ex-boss still owes her for that suspension, though. But these people know that this is bullshit. A sister of mine pointed out something. Hill gets killed over the same shit that Shannon Sharpe says every day, and his ratings are booming. Broke my heart when I thought about it. No, Shannon Sharpe, I think, is full of shit too. But Shannon Sharpe won 2 Super Bowls for the Denver Broncos and is one of the greatest tight ends of all time. So Shannon Sharpe is you know, you may hate his opinions, but he's accomplished something in his career beyond just appearing on TV and pretending to be insulted by literally everything that happens every day. Shannon Sharpe, I disagree with probably 100% of everything he says, including the sports thing he says, the things he says about sports. But the guy was an amazing tight end. He was amazing. I remember him playing. So this is a false equivalence. ESPN is lucky to have her. She could do better than ESPN, and I expect she will. Congrats. No, she would not have a job anywhere if it was. I mean, maybe she would have a job at TYT. So there aren't actually that many comments on this one. Maybe if I reload, there will be more. So this is the root, which is kind of it's SJW Central for people of color, as they call them. I think, are we still allowed to say people of color, or do I have to now use the acronym POC because for some reason people of color is considered offensive? So this is the newspaper that she works for now. It's not a newspaper. Actually it's not a newspaper. It's a blog that ESPN runs called The Undefeated, which is specifically their racial blog. And every single story is about race, including this one, Hakeem Olajuwon's 5 most impressive Ramadan performances, because Olajuwon, who is Nigerian, happens to be Muslim. And this guy, who is probably from Pakistan or something, Moniz Khan. Now, I don't know. So, yeah, he had an interview with Mark Spears last year for The Undefeated. But they're saying, he had all these Ramadan performances that were, like, remarkable. But the thing is that Ramadan happens at any time of the year. So I don't know how he picked, first of all, the 5 of them. Why are 5 of them the most important ones? There was number 5 was in February. So that's probably, with all due respect, games in February are not that important. And they still lost. He had 17 points, 8 rebounds, 4. But it doesn't matter. It's in February, so I'm sorry. And I'm a Hakeem Olajuwon fan. Number 4, Rockets at Spurs, 1996. February. February, January. So these were all games that, let's see here. They were mostly in the 1995 season, or 96 season, or 97 season. So Ramadan, I think it gets delayed like 2 weeks every year or something because there's no leap year in the Muslim calendar. So that, like, next year, or it might get earlier. So I think next year Ramadan is going to be 2 weeks earlier than this year. So it doesn't matter. Okay, now I understand that it's a feat. It's actually quite, it is kind of impressive if somebody's playing, on Ramadan and they can't eat while they're doing it. But here's a couple of caveats. If he was playing after sundown, he already could eat. So, the question is, I didn't read the whole article because the whole article is ridiculous. It's a game in February. The only games that matter in the NBA are past April. Bold, I think they like when you call them burnt too. Oh, I see what you said. Nah, I mean, honestly, I think it's really, I really don't care about a lot of these topics when people are trying to make it. Hakeem Olajuwon was one of the greatest centers, of the NBA history. And I remember him leading the Rockets to 2 straight championships. And, he's Muslim. I think he's one of the greatest players of NBA history. And I have no problem with him being a Muslim. I'm just saying that this article is idiotic because these games were in February, for Christ's sakes. They don't matter. And they lost. I think they lost every single one of them. Lost. One this game they played against the Suns. I think in by that point the Suns weren't that great of a team anyway. Even though they still have Barkley, but he was a little past his prime. This one was against the Bulls. That would have been impressive. But again, this is a January game, so January games are even less important than February games. So this is the type of crap that passes for journalism on the undefeated. Now, I'll tell you why I focus also on Jemele Hill. This is a woman who's talking about freedom of speech, but she abuses the Twitter terms of service, which include talking about issues of your conduct towards other users. So listen to this. Len McCarthy, I don't know if you remember this and if you watch this, but here are her comments on Complex. So listen in.
Like somebody like athletes got to understand. There's people like me on there that gets a kick.
So this is Gilbert Arenas. He used to play for the Washington Wizards. He was actually arrested for an illegal firearms charge because I think he had a gun in his locker, and it's Washington D.C., so you can't even have like water guns or something. Like if you show up, if you have it's got some of the most restrictive gun laws in the world.
Out of frustrating people, just irritating, because it's not a real world to me, it's fake.
Right.
So I go on there and act a donkey just to piss people off, because they take it so seriously. Yeah. And that's my whole goal, is to fucking frustrate the shit out of people, because it's ruining their days for no reason. Like, yo, it's like getting yelled at on the phone. There's a fucking off button. But they don't understand that. But so they just sit there because our minds say, all right, I love you, Gil. I love you, Gil. I love you. You're a douchebag. Oh, I'm gonna comment to this one.
Right.
We go for the negative.
Yeah.
We go for the negative response, and that's what gets. So if somebody wants attention, they know what to say. They know what to do. Right.
Well, some of it too is just, though. I mean, at least this is where, because I'm not perfect at it, and I sort of use the following I have.
So understand that what they're talking about here is how each of them deals with their Twitter fights. So, and people that argue with them on Twitter. So here you go.
Against the person or people that may tweet something negative, to me, it's like my followers will handle it. Like I got goons out there, Twitter goons out there. Like they'll work you over a lot worse than I am.
You let them cross the line.
I do. Like me, I just, I'll make a funny comment about it because, at the end of the day, every other Thursday, what happens? Direct deposit.
Talk about
so,
it.
like,
Talk about it.
you keep saying it, like, great. Like, until one of these negative tweets is from Bob Iger, the chairman of Disney, then I don't have anything to worry about.
Real talk.
But it is annoying, though. That's the thing. It's like it's annoying, the constant negative comments.
All right, real quick.
So, like I said, there's two. First of all, there's one issue here, which is that she is saying it's okay for her followers to attack the people that disagree with her on her comments. So that's one issue. That is actually a violation of Twitter policy. You're not allowed to brigade people. She said she has goons specifically. So, brigading is a violation of Twitter policy. I can even find it here. Len McCarthy, please comment on this if you have any experience with that. Let me see here. Intellectual property, graphic violence, and adult unlawful use. Trends. So it's times we may prevent certain content from trending. This includes content that violates the Twitter rules, as well as content that may attempt to manipulate trends. Read more about what we allow and do not allow to trend. Abusive behavior. So we believe in freedom of expression, open dialogue, but that means little as an underlying philosophy if voices are silenced. Len McCarthy, no, seriously, comment a little about, do you know cases that I would find interesting, where people got banned for brigading or something. But that means little as an underlying philosophy if voices are silenced because people are afraid to speak up. In order to ensure that people feel safe expressing diverse opinions and beliefs. We prohibit behavior that crosses a line into abuse, including behavior that harasses, intimidates, or uses fear to silence another user's voice. Context matters when evaluating for abusive behavior and determining appropriate enforcement actions. Factors we may take into consideration include, but are not limited to, whether the behavior is targeted at an individual or group of people, the report has been filed by the target of the abuse or a bystander, or the behavior is newsworthy and in the legitimate public interest. So here you have, I'm going to replay the comment. It's going to be, let's not dwell on it too long, but let's go to over here.
I handle it. Like I got goons out there, Twitter goons out there. Like they'll work you over a lot worse than I am.
You let them cross the line.
I do. Like me, I just I'll make a funny comment about it because at the end of the day, every other Thursday, what happens? Direct deposit.
Talk about
so
it.
like
Talk
you
about it.
keep saying it, like great. Like until one of these.
So she doesn't mind that her followers are basically using, they're basically intimidating people that criticize her. She called them goons. You heard her say that. Let's rewind it a little further back.
That's what gets so if somebody wants attention, they know what to say. They know what to do. Right.
Well, some of it too is just though. I mean, at least this is where, because I'm not perfect at it, and I sort of use the following I have against the person or people that may tweet something negative. To me, it's like my followers will handle it. Like I got goons out there, Twitter goons out there. Like they'll work you over a lot worse than I am.
You let them cross the line.
I do. Like me, I just I'll make a funny comment about it because at the end of the day, every other Thursday, what happens? Direct deposit.
Talk about it.
So like
Talk about it.
you keep saying it, like great. Like until one of these negative tweets is from Bob Iger, the chairman of Disney, then I don't have anything to worry about.
So this is her attitude. First of all, is what she already said, which I'm already talking about, which is that she doesn't care if her own followers are bullying people who criticize her. So she has no problem letting her goons, as she calls them, she says it on the air. So she can't claim, I don't know that this is happening. She brings it up. So she knows this is happening. She's not tweeting out, please comply with the Twitter rules of service. She's saying, this is fine because they do it for me. No, that is essentially the type of behavior where, like people are saying in the chat, that's how Ryu Shiska, I think, brought this up in the chat. That's what got Milo Yiannopoulos banned from Twitter. It's kind of one of the reasons I'm not as active on Twitter as some other people. I don't get into very long arguments on Twitter because and to be honest with you, I think I am shadow banned on it. So. And then I'm also on Gab, by the way. Please follow me on Gab. But there's not enough people on Gab right now, so I'm not too active on Gab either. So please follow me on Gab. Starscream85 is my handle. Shiska says, yes, it's the same shit why they banned Milo when Milo said he is not responsible for what his followers do, but yet they still banned him. This is I think, a little more egregious than with Milo. First of all, with Milo, the fact is that the same thing that they banned Milo for, Leslie Jones, who he was fighting with, did the same thing to him. She was telling her followers to attack him too. So they should have both been banned if Twitter was going to be consistent. But they're not going to ban Leslie Jones because she works for a media conglomerate, NBC. She's on the SNL cast. So this is an issue of whether they're not giving equal free speech to people who are not working for the corporate media. Milo would be an excellent example. And I'm not a huge Milo fan, but it's true. He's more of an independent creator than what's her name, Leslie Jones. Also, I think eventually they forced Breitbart to fire him over that weird podcast where he admitted, I think, something, concerning, sex or something, when he had underage sex or whatever. I don't remember. That was like a weird episode that, I think nobody wanted it. I don't know why people want to talk about it. It sounded like pretty disgusting. Pinochet says, I've been sending tweets to Comey and Brennan, but somehow I'm not banned. Go figure. Yeah, exactly. Selective enforcement, Ryu Shiska. So I think exhausted the topic of Jemele Hill. And, the other thing she said, if you noticed in that comment, is that, I think what Milo said was that he enjoyed his relationship. He was actually sexually molested by a priest or something. So that was a very strange episode. And it's actually pretty disgusting if you think about it. But, nobody stood up for his free speech rights. Let me see here. Oh, Houston won. Good for them. Good for them. I don't like Golden State, but I'm not going to watch these games because, I have too many of these things to do. Those were weird comments, but if people want to defend free speech, then they should be willing to defend even Milo Yiannopoulos' free speech to do it. But they don't. And I'm somebody, I said, honestly, at this point, I don't care if players kneel for the anthem because I think the damage has been done already. Players can do whatever the hell they want with regards to the anthem. But what Jemele Hill said here is really indicative of her real attitude. So, let's rewind one more time.
It's annoying, the constant negative comments.
All right, real quick, what's the ugliest or worst thing someone said to you on social media?
Every other Thursday, you know what happens? Direct deposit.
Talk about
so,
it.
like,
Talk
you
about it.
keep saying it, like, great. Like, until one of these negative tweets is from Bob Iger, the chairman of Disney, then I don't have anything to worry about.
Guilty. I don't know.
So effectively, what's really more important is nothing to do with the viewers of ESPN. It has nothing to do with the fans of the sports teams. People don't watch ESPN because they want to watch Jemele Hill, or they want to watch, or when he was on the network, Skip Bayless, or they want to watch ESPN because they want to talk about, whether it's Serena Williams, winning one of those, like let's say the French Open, or Tiger Woods getting chased down his driveway by his wife with a golf club. They want to talk about topics that are either related to the actual competitions or related to these players getting in trouble surrounding the competitions. And once in a while, there will be a story that, for example, there was that girl, I think her name was Lauryn Hill, who died of cancer, who was playing basketball for Mount St. Mary's College. So there will be like human interest stories. And but you can't make the whole fucking network, which is sports related, a human interest story. You have to get back to the game once in a while. And for Jemele Hill, it has nothing to do with the game. It has to do with the race game. She's into the whole racial context of every story. It wouldn't matter if there were two black athletes competing. She would still find a way to racialize it. Or if it was two Mexican athletes that were competing, if the Boston Marathon, you'd have two Moroccans running towards the finish line, she would find a way to racialize it. Jemele Hill was what's wrong with sports journalism today, and it's not only Jemele Hill. I said also that what's his name, Max Kellerman is a horrible journalist. He says, oh, if they're okay with all that crap happening, the Philadelphia Eagles should go to the White House. No, people can go to the White House for whatever the hell they want. If they're invited there, you can say yes or no. It doesn't matter. I think I am going to end for the night. I do want to acknowledge you guys who stayed for most of the broadcast or all of it. Ryu, Lennon, McCarthy, Pinochet, Just My Stupid Opinion. There was what's that guy's name? High Plains Preacher or something? I forgot his name. High Plains Drifter. Are you named after the what's that movie with Clint Eastwood in it? High Plains Drifter. You ever seen that one? Yeah, thanks for joining me, and we're gonna possibly do a stream on somebody else's channel tomorrow. But that's it for tonight. And let me know. Leave in the comment something specific. comment section something that was ruined by social justice or by political correctness or about speech codes or something that was ruined for you, something specific. Was it a band, something like a movie, something people said, for example, Seinfeld is politically incorrect today. I want specifics. So put that in the comment section. And again, spread the Mattis file. We're going to talk a little more about that tomorrow. And have a great night.